this is Art Johnson, and today is Coffee with My Friends. I'd like to start out with kind of defining who my friends are. It appears I have probably offended some people out there who are my friends, but not my coffee friends. This whole thing started out with me missing going to coffee at Starbucks in the morning and having coffee with some of the other patrons at Starbucks who were my friends. People that came in there regularly, they lived in the same area, we had some things in common. The people who were my friends that I was referring to were Jim Wall, Jim Robson, Grant Wills, Roberta Dewey, all regulars at Starbucks. Oh, Mike Colicaro, who joined our group late. Anyway, they were people that I'd sit down and have a cup of coffee with and enjoy. Robert is a very good friend of mine. He lives in Vietnam, but I met him at Starbucks, so he was in the club of my Starbucks friends. But I started talking about my other friends, and I was looking through some of my old emails, and I ran across something that came in 4 or 5 months ago. I got just a note. I don't know whether it was a text or what. It was from a good friend of mine. He said, "Hey, Art, I'm your friend too." His name is Chris Covelli, and I've actually I've done a separate video just about Chris. Chris is a very special guy, and I'm glad to have him as a friend. So I don't want to lose him over this coffee with my friends thing. So let me move on. Let me talk about my friend here, Brad King. Brad sends out a Christmas card every year. It's always his family. It's his wife, his dogs, Frosty the Snowman this year. He is a unique kind of guy too. Brad is a guy that I have known. Well, actually, I'm almost embarrassed to say this, and Brad will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I met him when I was working for a company called Cunningham Distributing. That would have been back in the 80s. And I changed jobs over the years, but we stayed in touch. He's kind of a legend in Arizona here. He's been a manufacturer's rep for many, many years. And he sells a variety of different products representing different manufacturers. So his customer base is spread quite widely. And at some point in time, Brad started having Oktoberfest parties. And every year, the third Saturday of October, I think I've got that right, he'd have these parties, and he'd invite all his friends and customers. And when you say friends and customers, you're really talking about the same thing here. Most of your customers, when you've been around as long as he has and as long as I have, most of your customers are also your friends. It's hard not to be friends with your customers. He gets a good turnout. I don't know how many people, but I'm sure there's maybe not 100, but I guarantee you there's well over 50 that show up. And he's got a nice backyard. He's got a nice barbecue there. October is a good month to do this in Arizona. You usually have nice, pleasant evenings. We sit outside and drink beer, and he puts on quite an Oktoberfest feast. And I've been going to that thing for probably 20 years, and I've missed a couple, but I do what I can to make sure that I'm there. He's been a good friend over the years, and he and his wife Dale are really swell people. So I don't want to leave this coffee with my friends without putting a shout out to Brad King. Hope he's doing well. Some of these guys I just stay in touch with a little bit, even though I've been retired for a few years. I'll bring up some of this as we continue on. So there's Gary Stoner. Gary's a guy that I worked for at Maytag, and then on to when we both moved over to Whirlpool, we got acquired. Did I say worked with? I worked for him. He was my boss for a number of years, and a great guy to work for. Everybody loves Gary Stoner. And he retired here in Arizona. Up until recently, we've kept up to each other. We get together about once every 6 months and have coffee. So he's definitely one of my coffee friends. I plan to have at least another one of these videos done before Christmas, so probably within the next week. Thanks for joining me.